Getting into a revenue shortfall spiral is an invitation to disaster. It often happens when you're not clear what revenue is and what yield is. Are you in that boat? It is far worse, though, if you have not embraced the powerful concept of yield. Not to worry, I've got you covered. This video will clear the air on the 5 shocking truths of revenue versus yield. Please make sure that you watch all the way to the end of the video. Why? I have something special, a bonus reveal that'll skyrocket your revenue achievement. Let's jump right in. As a hotel manager, revenue achievement, you may think, is the end all. It may shock you to know that revenue is definitely not an end game. So what is? Well, this video is all about 5 shocking truths, revenue versus yield. You may have a question, why me? Well, I spent 26 years in the hotel industry, and over that period, what struck me was how discussions on revenue a lot of times never went to yield. I would like to share those experiences with you, and more importantly, the lessons that you can take away and benefit from. So let's go. Yield is not a one-trick pony. It has multiple applications. You could call them different flavors. So let's get into the 5 truths right away. They are likely to shock you. Truth 1 is that revenue achievement is not the end game. There are more important goals than just achieving revenue. What could be those goals? Well, achieving a bottom line is the end game of a business enterprise, and a hotel business is no different. Let's see why. When you make a comparison between revenue achievement and profitability achievement, a couple of things jump up. First, revenue is before expenses. So it's not the complete picture in any case, while profitability takes into account expenses. So what does that mean? Well, revenue, you could say, is a gross application without any deductions, while profitability, actual profitability, is a net application, which is after deducting expenses. What is the implication of this? Well, revenue achievement is not what you would call take home. Take home is a concept where what is ultimately retained is more important. But actual profitability is take home for hotel owners and stakeholders. So to summarize, revenue is not yield, profitability is yield. And that's the first of the shocking truths. Yield will tend to always take a form of take home or net take home. On to truth 2. Just revenue achievement dollars by itself means nothing. There must be a comparison made. And the comparison is best when it is made to the previous period revenue achievement. What I mean is, for a version of yield, it needs to be compared to the previous period, not a budget. As you can see, you have this period revenue achievement. This period could be year, month, quarter, any of those. And then you compare it to budget revenue and the previous period revenue. Why do I say not to compare with budget revenue? Well, take a look. Both this period revenue and previous period revenue are actuals, while budget is just an estimate. So, in a way, with this period revenue, you're comparing apples to apples, while budgets are actually comparing apples to oranges because you're comparing actual numbers to estimates. The previous period revenue is the same as the this period revenue, and it's an apples to apples comparison. The implication of this is that this period revenue is a reflection of progress, while budgets are purely temporary projections. And then again, previous period reflects progress. Now to truth 3. It makes more sense for actual revenue dollars to be compared to capacity. And why is that? Let's take a look. When you compare actual revenue to capacity, in a way, what you're doing is revenue merely is performance, while capacity is the source of revenue itself. So, in a way, again, revenue cannot be considered yield because it's just performance and it's not source, while capacity is considered yield. This version of yield compares revenue to capacity to arrive at a meaningful metric. On to truth 4. Actual revenue dollars or revenue achievement must be compared to potential. This is the traditional form of the definition of revenue. So you may ask a question, what is yield? Yield is actual revenue divided by potential revenue. As I said earlier, this is the traditional concept of yield. But I also said that yield has multiple versions. So when you take actual revenue and compare it to potential revenue, again, what you're doing is revenue being a comparison measure, while potential treats it as a potential measure. So again, revenue is not yield, potential is yield. When revenue is compared to potential, you get yield. How well did you do compared to what you could have done? Simply achieving revenue never tells you how good you could have been. Finally, to truth 5. So, in a manner of speaking, yield must always be the ultimate goal of performance because it compares what is to a what could be. To summarize, actual performance needs to get compared to either actual profitability or previous period revenue or capacity, or finally potential revenue. And now to what you have been waiting for. And thank you for watching this video to the end. Here's the bonus truth. The game changer strategy. Instead of just setting revenue budgets, also set yield targets for those revenue budgets. And what is the game changing aspect of this? Well, if you harness the 5 shocking truths on yield, they will deliver higher room revenue consistently.